Hi everyone, this is Linda, and what I want to do is I want to create this into a stitch that I can put like on a potholder or a quilt block or whatever I want to do. And I don't want to have a lot of jump stitches. I could have it do the heart, and then it would stop and cut, and then it would do this, and then it would do the butterfly. I want it to be a continuous design. I don't want to have a bunch of jumps, and I don't want it to be anything but a single straight stitch. So what I want to do is I actually drew this up using draw, and then I'm going to come in here and I'm going to go to the precise create. Quick create would do it, but it wouldn't be continuous. They'd end up breaking everything up, and I don't want that to happen. So I don't want a pattern fill, so I want to make sure that's not selected, so it's not got an orange box around it. I want a running stitch, so I make sure that's selected. I'm going to come over here to fill area and line, and I'm going to change that to a 3.0 because I'm going to go through a piece of fabric, batting, and fabric again. If I was going to just do it on a piece of straight fabric, I would probably leave it at 2.5. But for this, we're going to make it there. And I want to kind of make sure I zoom into as much of this as possible to make it much easier. So I'm going to click on the magnifying glass, and I want to start here, and I'm going to draw this box just so that I can kind of get in fairly close to this, because I kind of want to follow my butterfly. If I wait to do it when I do the butterfly, it breaks my stitches apart, and I don't want that to happen. So I'm going to click on create area or line, and when I do this, I need to think about how this is going to stitch out. So if you took this drawing and put it on a piece of paper, you could actually take your pen and kind of draw it around. So for example, if I started at this point, I would come around here, and I could come around my butterfly, come around back over here, come this way. But watch, if I then take this and go over here, I end up losing some things that I don't want to happen. But if I did that, I could do this again, come around here, and I've started here. I've now missed some of the stitches in here. So I need to think about where I want to start. So I don't want to start here because I'm going to end up like this, or I'm going to go like this. And now I got to jump here to here. And I'm trying to avoid that as much as possible. So it's all those things that you have to consider when you're doing this. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to start here. So I'm going to just click here, and then I'm going to come around. Now as you click, it's going to create kind of a rounded edge. When I get to this point, I'm going to hold my control key and click on the point of the heart, and then I'm going to kind of go around here. Don't worry about it being precise at this point. We can fix all that and make it a little bit better and let it follow the area again. Again, I've got a point. I'm going to come around here. Now I want to do this butterfly, so I might use my control key to kind of get in there, and then I kind of want to come in here, and it's going to be a control key here. And this I want kind of rounded. Oh, I want to make that kind of a point. So I'm going to hold my control key and click again around here. And I don't really care about trying to do that head and stuff. I'm just going to use my control key and click here and around, control key and around, control key, because I want it to be more of a point. And I want that to be a point. So control key, control key. And I'm going to come around here, and I want this to be a control. And then I need to come in here. Now, when I get really close to this little spot, you see my mouse now changes to 4 arrows. I need to make sure that I'm clicking away from that. So I'm going to actually come and click here, and then I'm going to come across here. And I can skip over to here and get really close. Don't try and touch it, because if you touch it, it's going to grab the wrong thing. And then I can come around here. And now I'm back to a butterfly again. I want to do this butterfly again. And I can come around here, and I'm going to do a control, and I'm going to get really close. Control, control, control key. I want this rounded, pointed. I want that pointed, so I'm going to use my control key again here. And now I'm back to this line, and I can actually continue on. And I want to get really close again. And then I'm going to right mouse click. Now, because it's the same color as my drawing, what I want to do is I'm going to hide my drawing. or I can actually change the color of my thread. So maybe we'll just change the color of the thread. So I'm going to change the color of my thread, and I'm going to change it to pink just so that we can see it a little bit better, and it's a little bit different. It's really still hard to see, but I can kind of use that to kind of move my nodes around. So I want to get this a little bit closer, and that's not too bad. And I'm going to come around here and make sure that those kind of follow along. And I'm just kind of adjusting these to see if I can't follow it a little bit better. I can insert some nodes if I need to, but I'm not going to. We're going to come around here. Oh, that one's way off, so I'm going to adjust that a little bit. And I kind of want that one really to touch. And again, just keep adjusting your nodes until they're right where you want them. Come around and do that. Now what I want to do, oh, this one's way off, so I'm going to kind of fix that a little bit. If it is a square point like this, you want to make sure if you're going to move it that you hold your control key and move it. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually now going to hide the drawing so I can really see the way this is going to look. So I'm going to hit draw. I'm going to hit view, and I'm going to hide the drawing itself, and I'm going to come home. So now I kind of have what's going on, but I don't like it. See how it looks like kind of rough? I can actually keep moving these until they look a little smoother. And I need to see how this one has this little area here. I'm going to go in and zoom in so you can kind of see that. This has an area in here I need to fix. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to hold my control key and I'm going to click that, and then I'm going to drag it so that actually touches. And I want this one to touch here. And because that, look how that kind of doesn't look real smooth, I can take and still smooth that out. And I can take and I can move this around a little bit. Now remember, we're doing 3.0 stitches. So what's happening is you're going to see some of that happen with the 3.0 because it needs to do a complete stitch. And I can actually adjust this a little bit more. I could actually insert some nodes in here. So to do that, I'm in the Home tab. I'm going to hit Insert Points. I might insert a couple, and I might get a little bit smoother kind of movement. Right mouse click and move it around. Again, looking fairly closely, that's not too bad. Again, you're not going to notice a lot of this because it's going to just kind of take care of itself as it starts to stitch. You're not going to notice it quite as much when you actually start stitching it. Let's zoom back out. So I'm going to follow this around, and I'm going to get into this area because that kind of looks a little funny. So I'm going to click on here, and I'm going to click here, and oh yeah, they're not touching. So right mouse click again, and I need to get this so that actually touches here, and this one actually touches here, so it actually touches itself. See how rough that one looks? I'm going to actually try and move this a little bit. Then I can always zoom out and see how it works. And then I want to get into this butterfly again so I can see how this one is looking and see how it's missing some spots. Right mouse click. I'm going to hold my control key, move this in here a little bit, and I'm going to move this one down here so it matches. And I can adjust some of these around. I'm going to leave them just about like that. I'm not too worried about those, but I need this to be touching here, so I'm going to take the control key and touch there. So this is still looking a little rough, so I'm going to take and move this out just a little bit, and maybe move this one out a little bit and this one out a little bit. So you can actually continue to play with that until you actually have it the way you want it. Not too bad. Okay, so let's watch this sew out. So I'm going to do the player, and yeah, maybe it's not perfect, but we can still play with those a little bit. So it's going to continue to sew. It's going to do my little butterfly. It's going to continue to sew. And now what's going to happen is this is the end of it. But see how it looks kind of off a little bit? I may play with this a little bit more. Maybe move these in more like this. So as you play with the nodes, you're going to find that you like some ways that way it looks, and other times it doesn't. So I'm going to leave it just like this. Not too bad. So it's not too far off from what I want. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that do a save as so that I can save this to where I want to save it at. And then I want to export it so that it saves it as an embroidery design. But I'm just going to go in here and click on the drop down arrow here, and I'm going to click on copy embroidery. And then I'm going to bring it over into my Premier+. And I need to add my grid lines back in here because I didn't have them there for another project I was working on. I want to change my hoop, and I was using the 150 by 150 hoop, so I'm going to change it to the 150 Dual Quilters hoop. And then I want to paste my design. So I'm going to hit paste, and it's going to put my design here. Now I want to make this an endless design. To do that, what I can do is I'm going to go to the Wizards tab. I'm going to make it endless. And I want it to do markings for me, and I want it to go this way to this way. So this is going to be fabric direction is up, and I want it to go like this. I'm going to do this. Oops. Oh. And so what it's going to do is it's going to have these markings. So let's go show you how this is going to sew out. And it's going to sew these little markings here in the corner. Because I had told it that I wanted it to do the corner markings, if I had done a line, it would have actually sewn out a line. But that's actually, when you look at this, is actually a jump stitch that goes from here to here. So again, let's just look at this. But it ends up being a jump stitch. Now I can take and move my hoop and do this next step. And hope that kind of helps with trying to create something like this. But remember, you're going to end up with some jump stitches here and here and here and here, and jump stitch from this point down to the beginning of your next one. So just so that you know, you're going to have jump stitch.